ESPN Student Spirit Week celebrates those who wear the uniform of the fan. There is nothing that embodies the passion of the game more than them. Welcome to Clemson, South Carolina, where basketball spirit is back. The fans couldn't be more excited about the Tigers' 17-1 start. Tonight, the 16th ranked team in the country will battle number 4, North Carolina's band of freshmen and sophomore Tyler Hansbrough. The Tar Heels and the Tigers are next. And here come the 17-1 Clemson Tigers. It's ACC Wednesday, presented by Staples as part of Student Spirit Week. And tonight from Littlejohn Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina, it's the 4th-ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina against the number 16 Clemson Tigers. Good evening, everybody. Mike Patrick, Len Elmore, Doris Burke will join us shortly. It's great to have you with us. There are a lot of people around the ACC who feel Carolina is the dominant team in the league, Len, but that Clemson's got a chance to challenge them.
Well, they absolutely do, and the reason why is because they've got a tremendous mix of athleticism and skill that has run under the radar under most prognosticators' view. And you look at the senior that they have in Vernon Hamilton, junior James Mays, and super six-man Casey Rivers. Who knew they would be as good as they are? Now you add to that experience. They've got a bunch of upperclassmen who have been battle-tested. They understand what it takes to win in the ACC.
How about your star watch tonight? Who do you want to point out?
Well, we got a couple of guys that are big for their teams. Ty Loss is going to have to handle the Clemson pressure. Since he became a starter 12 games ago, 73 assists and only 20 turnovers. And James Mays, a tremendous inside fourth, the only ACC player in the top 10 in rebounds and steals.
Take a look at the starting lineups. First for the Tar Heels of North Carolina, a very inexperienced backcourt. Both freshmen, Lawson and Ellington. Up front is where they have any experience. Terry is senior, Hansbrough, of course, the super sophomore. For the Clemson Tigers, a veteran backcourt, Hamilton and Hammonds, a senior and a junior. And up front, real power on this team. Great rebounders, Perry, Booker, and Mays. Doris Burke will work the sidelines for us. Doris.
Mike, historically speaking, student spirit here at Clemson has been reserved for the most part for the power programs of football and baseball. But that is slowly changing. Starting on Monday, a record 145 student tents set up on campus. They endured rain, freezing temperatures. They are all fired up. All time, Clemson has only beaten North Carolina 19 times. Tonight would make it 20, all of them here. They have a 14-0 unbeaten streak. Can they keep it going? We'll see.
Doris, it's an insane asylum in here tonight. It really is. The capacity is 9850. Well, there's 10,000 plus in here. It's a fire marshal's nightmare. The Clemson Tigers control the opening tip, and Mays gives it up to Vernon Hamilton.
And Mike, both of these teams, obviously the focus is on defense. Carolina giving up over 90 points against Virginia Tech, and Clemson over 90 points to Maryland. And both coaches said that their emphasis is on effort and going back to fundamentals on the defensive end.
Mays leans into one-handed block from behind by the super freshman, Brandon Wright.
Carolina starting out in a man-to-man, but they're going to get plenty of help when the ball goes inside to James Mays as you see the blue shirts converge.
Hammond's pull-up jump shot short. So what Clemson does best, rebound the ball. Hamilton, air ball. And the Tigers, Lenny, they have to shoot well to have a chance.
Well, they certainly do. Not a good free throw shooting team. 61% on the season. So in a close game situation, they've got to make sure they've got plenty of cushion in field goals. if they want to be able to come out victorious.
Full court pressure. Clemson loves to force turnovers and do it very well. Here comes Ty Lawson, the freshman point guard. Hansborough, contact, no whistle. Clemson trying to run. Hammonds. Good job by Hansborough. Had 2 against 1 and made him pull up. Clemson draws first blood as Trevor Booker out of Whitmire, South Carolina, gets the first basket, and that sets up the press. Ellington, 1 against 4, and has it taken away. You might wonder why a teammate didn't yell and help him. It wouldn't have mattered. You can't hear.
No, but you got to be cognizant of Clemson with their pressure. It's never failing. But look at the experience by the freshman, Trevor Booker. He gets it, goes back outside, and then he goes deeper into the paint. 2 feet out before he throws it back outside and steps in on Tyler Hansborough and gets a better shot.
Oliver Purnell's Clemson record has gone up every year that he has been the head coach, and this season will be no exception. There's a runner by Hamilton, and it's 4-0.
And, you know, Mike, that incremental growth has a lot to do with the growth and maturity of his players. You know, Vernon Hamilton is a senior right now. James May is a junior. They've developed, and so has the program.
And there's Roy Williams, who has already gotten on the officials about one call where he thought Hansborough was fouled, and I did too. Lawson. Tremendous assist to turnover ratio, better than 2.5 to 1. The long jump shot by Ellington won't go, and here comes Clemson again. Racehorse basketball. Shot missed, the follow won't go, as Hamilton may have been a little out of control when he took that shot. Ellington. Right. Nice soft touch by the freshman from Nashville.
Well, Brandon Wright at 6'9", left-handed, leads the ACC in field goal percentage. Shot 60% or better in 12 of the 17 games. He's become a terrific second option on offense.
Rated the best power forward by a lot of people coming out of high school. And here's the steal, the reach in, taken away by Terry, and Terry end-to-end gets the basket and draws the foul. Rayshon Terry, the only senior on this ball club who starts out of Winston-Salem.
Well, you talk about a guy who's been putting too much pressure on himself of late, but you want to know if he's got any skills. Take a look at this. Change of direction, able to get to the basket. Again, the length, the speed, the quickness. Rayshon Terry is a complete package. All he has to do is settle down and recognize if he plays within himself, he'll be okay. At 19 points against Penn 4 games ago, but in the last 3 games, only averaged 3 points and 5 rebounds.
And in the last 7, that 19-point effort was his only double-digit scoring night. That's hard to believe with his skill level. Free throw is good, and Carolina comes from 4 down to take a 5-4 lead.
And as Terry takes a little bit of a rest, again, the one thing about the Carolina system, and you can look at it from Dean Smith on up, is you go hard 100% during the time you're out there. You raise your fist, you get a little blow, and you get right back in there.
Double team on Hammonds, barely got rid of it to K.C. Rivers, who leads this team in scoring but does not start. But he's checked into this ball game very early. The jump hook by Booker will not go. Ellington. Booker got back and blocked the shot, and here come the Tigers. You like racehorse basketball, don't go anywhere. Potter is in. He's number 15 for Clemson. Both teams go deep.
Well, one of the problems Clemson has had of late, getting back defensively. No problem here, though. Just a nice job, excellent timing, and it was the angle that Booker took that allowed him to get that block.
The foul was on another Carolina freshman, Alex Stevenson, who was in the game for the first time. Mays, who is 28-1 in a Clemson uniform. They were 11-0 last year, and Mays was declared academically ineligible, and it really killed this club. He's come back this year, said he was naive, made some mistakes. Hey, if almost flunking out of college, it's a criminal offense, I'd have been on death row.
You take a look at James Mays and the impact he's had on this team. It's because of his athleticism, his understanding of how to play on the front line, and more than anything else, watch his effort. Nothing half speed.
Lawson shows that speed that you're speaking of for North Carolina.
And that's the mistake that Oliver Purnell has mentioned before. His team was content with trying to outscore people instead of scoring and getting back defensively. And once again, we see them get beat on not even a fast break situation, just a push up the floor.
Travel on Hammonds.
See Lawson right here hesitate a little bit because then he saw that lane wide open, part like the Red Sea. And just like Moses, he said, what?
16 minutes, 28 seconds to go first half. Heels by 2. Watch Lawson when he puts his head down. He'll get in trouble that way sometimes. Try to get it to Hansborough. Loose ball and a foul. And it will be on Tyler Hansborough. Let's go to Doris.
Well, guys, in reaction to the loss of Virginia Tech, Roy Williams put together an 11.5-minute tape. He said, as I was putting it together and while I watched it, I was embarrassed. And he said, I told my fellows they should be embarrassed. In fact, that's what Marcus Ginyard said happened. He said, as soon as the game started, we were never down in defensive stance. You can clearly tell, guys, the effort defensively is there as Carolina's out in the passing lanes.
It sure is.
Well, again, it comes down to a young team that's had a great deal of success, and sometimes they let success go to their heads. They don't bring it every night. And I think that's what Roy Williams wants his team to understand. And by bringing it, it's demonstrated on the defensive end.
David Potter fired out of the corner and missed, but Sykes got the offensive rebound. Sykes very, very athletic. And we've got a timeout as Wright committed the foul.
In this house tonight.
And here comes the crowd. Oh, it is super landing, sensational, baby.
Are you kidding me?
I don't remember ever being in a louder building.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Staples, that was easy, and in part by the all-new 7-passenger Acura MDX. Acura Advance.
It has already been a frenetic pace at Littlejohn Coliseum in Clemson as Roy Williams Tar Heels are going against the Clemson Tigers. Only 13 times has Roy Williams lost as the #1 ranked team and then come back and lost again. North Carolina, what a domination of this series, 117-19. Clemson has never won in Chapel Hill, but they've won 3 of the last 5 here, which might be shocking to some people.
But again, you look at this talent as they developed here. Several of those guys were maybe on the team that won the last time.
Rivers with a runner. Won't go for it. Hamilton will come out with it. Bump, no call. Rivers has gone inside twice. He's a brilliant outside shooter. And they're trying to deny that to him. Way off balance is Hamilton with that one. Quick outlet. Right. Foul. Foul on Rivers will be his first.
And once again, only one guy back, and he was running even with the ball handlers. Carolina continues to leak guys out, gain possession, and push it up the floor. That's their game. They're going to run at you and run at you. They want to do it intelligently, but they're going to continue to push and push. And Clemson is capable of doing that as well.
Right, only a 55% free throw shooter. What did Roy Williams say this afternoon? I'll probably never have the running team I want because those guys are 3rd and 4-year players. We're not going to have a lot of those.
No, and if you look at this team right now, people are going to surmise that several guys are going to opt for the next level after this year. This young man may be one of them, and I emphasize may. You know, he's got a lot of skills, tremendous upside potential. This would be the place, college basketball, for him to refine those skills and maximize that potential.
He was Tennessee Mr. Basketball 3 straight years, the first player that ever did that. Clemson has really been in the midst of a drought since a hot start. Hansborough, offensive rebound. And it blocked. But got a foul. And Hansbrough is playing with a back that he hurt in practice on Monday. That was on Booker, his first. And Hansbrough will go to the line where he's a 73% shooter. Third in scoring, sixth in field goal percentage, second in both total rebounds and offensive rebounds. It's just not a more intense, more well-rounded player around. He is just that good.
Well, the thing that I think gives Tyler Hansbrough the confidence, besides what's inside of him, is the fact that he worked himself into a specimen, a physical specimen, big, strong, able to take the bangs and the bruises, and also he works on his game.
10-1 run. Into the lane, there's the block. Wright got a hand on an outstanding shot block. Clemson just can't find the hole right now.
You know, a lot of guys wonder where confidence comes from, and it comes from practice until you ultimately are so comfortable that you've done everything that you can possibly do as a player that when you get in the game, it should come second nature. And a guy like Tyler Hansbrough is definitely exemplary of their hard work.
Look at this defense by North Carolina. They are all over the Clemson Tigers. And Hansbrough running the court. Lawson wide open. In and out. And that's a tie-up. Possession arrow will give it back to the Heels. Well, can Kobe Bryant lift the Lakers over Tim Duncan and the Spurs? NBA Wednesday on ESPN comes up after our game. It's available in high definition on ESPN HD.
You look at the field goal percentage shooting right there, and Clemson's getting the shots. They've been thwarted by good defense inside, and some of them are just playing jitters.
Here comes Hamilton with Hansbrough back, and he got by him and scored. Clemson needed that badly.
Absolutely, Mike. They not only needed the points, but they needed to be able to push the ball and understand that they can run with Carolina.
Lawson back the other way, had it taken away. Hamilton wide open. Now to Hammonds, who has a three. Got it! Cliff Hammonds is a 35% long-range shooter. Buries that one with tied at 10. Hansbrough goes to the hoop and he's fouled.
Again, we talked about the importance of defense for both of these teams, how they like to run off it, and a good takeaway by Vernon Hamilton, and he just challenges the big man. And here again, on a fast break situation, a semi-fast break situation, Hamilton pulls it out, finds the open shooter. So a little bit of inside, a little bit of outside should build the confidence of the Clemson Tigers.
Hamilton is the all-time Clemson leader in steals. Last year he led the ACC. As Hansbrough hits the first of his free throws and gives the Heels a 1-point lead against Virginia Tech. Don't blame the loss on him. 19 points, 15 boards. Clemson ball off in this free throw. 13:26 to go first half in front of 10,000 at Clemson. K.C. Rivers bricks it. Long rebound to Hammonds. Booker, who's a surprise as a starter coming out of high school. They thought they'd get good minutes out of him, but had no idea he was as good as he was to be. And as you can see, he's not a bad shot blocker.
Not at all. Fifth in the ACC in blocks. And after missing badly inside the paint, instead of hanging his head, Booker gets back defensively. Look at him with a bead on it. Eyes focused on the ball. Excellent timing.
Quentin Thomas went in there and thought, I got a shot at a layup here. Wright is back in, number 34. I like what the officials are doing. They're letting them play. Contact on a lot of possessions, but they're not calling it.
All you can ask. Don't play consistent. Let the players decide.
That was another miss by Thomas. Quentin Thomas doesn't shoot very often. He has done a much better job handling the basketball this year as a backup point guard, and they really need him tonight because Bobby Frazier is injured, re-injured that foot. So he will not be available as the backup point guard tonight.
There's a turnover by Vernon Hamilton. Bad angle on the pass. And how many times coaches wish that their point guards, if they're going to pass it along the baseline, dribble it to the baseline, you get a better angle.
Fourth turnover against the Tigers. They love that full court pressure. Danny Green has been instant offense. Ginyard moves in. That should be a charge and miss.
Marcus Ginyard, normally a reliable guy out there on the floor with the ball, didn't recognize numbers, had no shot right there. Probably expected Mays to challenge him. Mays does the intelligent thing, holds his ground, and takes the charge.
Boy, he was there for a long time, too. 6 turnovers against the Heels. Gives it up to Hamilton. Carolina switching, pressuring on defense.
Got to do some pressure release stuff. Hit the high post, dribble at the wing guy, let him go back door, anything to get Carolina's guard.
Mays with the follow. We've got a timeout with 11:46 to go first half. Carolina by 1 over Clemson. Welcome back to Clemson. North Carolina leads by a point. Saturday, ESPN showcases 2 of the top 5 teams in the country.
College basketball alive and well. Here they come. He's feeling it. He's burning down the nets. What emotion. This is special. For the lead. What a gift. That's incredible. Game over. What a call. What a call. Look at this. Unbelievable.
We talked about how Clemson needed to shoot well to have a shot. Well, they're only 4 out of 17. Fortunately for them, North Carolina is only 3 out of 10.
In Carolina, that deficit in field goal attempts has a lot to do with the 6 turnovers. Clemson with 7 points off those 6 turnovers. The pressure starts to take effect. And when that happens, teams have to be even more protective of the ball. And both of these teams are trying to push it up the floor. They have to make good decisions. You look at James Mays and the numbers he put up against Maryland. Again, we talked about him being a tremendous inside force. He does an awful lot, not only under the basket, but out on the floor as well.
And for a 55% free throw shooter, looked pretty good at the line there, made them both. Not only is he an offensive rebounder, but he is the leader of that full court press.
We saw Wayne Ellington with a shot. Boy, Ellington can stretch the defenses. He makes it easier to get it inside to the big fellas.
Brandon Wright got the last block, and this is Ellington as Thomas continues to stay on the court to run the ball clock. Great physical defense. Bad pass by Thomas. Nice jump shot. James Mays. Clemson back on top.
So Mays just making some terrific decisions out there on the offensive end.
Beautiful spin, and the bucket is good by Deon Thompson. And he draws the foul.
And Mike, you look at Deon Thompson and Alex Stevenson, who's on the bench for them. 2 big men who would probably be starting anywhere else in America, except they're playing behind Tyler Hansbrough and Brandon Wright. But that was just a tremendously fundamental sound play right there. Thompson recognizing had space, shows the ball one way, spins the other, very nimble.
This kid was once 305 pounds, the left tackle on the football team. Yikes.
Well, you can tell, boy, with those good feet, 305 pounds, if he wanted to play football, he's probably a first-round draft choice in the making.
Feet along the baseline. Mays tries to save it, knocks it up in the student section. Well, he's certainly not going to be intimidated by anybody, is he?
He's not. He's going to make plenty of room for himself down on the block.
Clemson helping out against the full court press, gives it up to Ellington. Lawson back in at the point. Three ball out of the corner. Rayshon Terry knocks it down, and Carolina has the lead by 5. 6 for Rayshon Terry. Tipped out by the heels out to the Clemson Tigers.
And again, you look at this pace and you wonder whom it favors. Well, it favors both of these teams. They like to get up and down. They like to push. Both teams are deep. Carolina 10 deep. Clemson plays about 9 guys double-figure minutes. The question is the quality of the depth. And when you look at Carolina, particularly inside, I think they've got some big men, as I mentioned. They could probably start for anybody else except for the Tar Heels.
Well, they go 8 deep with McDonald's All-Americans.
And the other guys, the other 2 guys, they may not be McDonald's All-Americans, probably should,
but they're pretty good. That's right. 6 turnovers against Clemson now as Powell made the miscue. Lawson, nice pass. Shot won't go, however, for Thompson, and Clemson gets a break and the ball.
Strong move by Thompson. Probably didn't get the elevation that he wanted, but again, good ball movement by Carolina. They're getting shots.
Powell picked up his dribble, put himself in jeopardy. Just withering defense by North Carolina. Tough shot by Mays. Can't hit it, and Ellington comes out to the heels quickly ahead to Lawson. Great speed. And then Lawson turns it. Look at that. Speaking of speed, Hamilton just blew by everybody. He's got an afterburner. Great pass to Thompson. They missed him.
I think Clemson right now needs to call off the pressure just a little bit. Carolina has found the combination. Good ball movement, guys attacking aggressively. And every time Clemson scores, Carolina's right back at them.
That was the problem Clemson had at Maryland, losing to the Terps over the weekend. Hamilton slipped and nearly lost it. And Powell getting a little sloppy with it. And they lose it again. Julius Powell, a couple of turnovers in 3 trips. Pull-up jumper, no. Perry gives it up to Hamilton, and he'll walk it up this time. As Oliver Purnell calls out the set he wants.
And for teams who like to get up and down, it's important for them to learn how to play at different speeds. Sometimes you can get out of control, and you've got to be able to gather everybody else in a half-court situation and execute as Clemson did there.
Mays just bowled his way through and has 7. Fast break. Hamilton got back on defense to get a piece of it and knock it out of bounds.
Take a look here. This is a nice move the ball around the perimeter, get it inside to your big guy, and as I said, Mays makes the intelligent play. He was double teamed but saw space, and once he gets in the paint and he explodes, it's hard to stop him.
The loft degree.
Speaking of hard to stop, you play above the rim with any number of Carolina guys, and you're not going to have a whole lot of success. Danny Green, one of the most versatile guys out there for Carolina, can shoot the 3, and he can score above the rim, as you just saw.
What a collection of talent Roy Williams has put together. This is a remarkable roster. Play a little 2-man game and the foul inside. That one will be on Green. And the alley-oop and the flush by Green. Tonight's game available in high definition on ESPN HD, presented by Olivia. It's a 23-18 North Carolina advantage. Let's check in with Doris.
My
Mike, after the loss to Virginia Tech, Carolina took Sunday off, went back to work on Monday, and Roy Williams said they had one of the most intensely competitive practices in his history, evidenced by 2 players literally getting physically sick. You mentioned the fall by Tyler Hansbrough. That came on Monday in a 5-on-5 inter-squad scrimmage. It was so scary that for 5 minutes, and this is one of the toughest kids in the league, he did not move. There was dead silence. He said afterward he was incredibly sore the next day. I asked him how he was tonight. He said he's fine. He went through his normal stretching routine, and clearly he looks pretty good, guys.
No neck, no hip, no back injury, just sore. Very, very fortunate.
Although he's been thwarted a number of times for getting the ball inside. Only 1 field goal attempt for Tyler Hansbrough. Really hasn't been in the game.
There's a foul on Ty Lawson. SportsCenter 30 at 30. Here's Carl Ravitch.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Let's start with some NBA news. 8-player deal between the Warriors and the Indiana Pacers. The key players, Al Harrington and Steven Jackson, go out west. Mike Dunleavy and Troy Murphy go to Indiana. Big news from the ACC. Sean Williams, 3rd in block shots in the country, dismissed from the team. They'll be at Clemson. They're 5-0 in the ACC.
Boy, that's going to hurt.
I'll tell you, it comes down to the fact that you wonder what's in the minds of kids to commit transgressions that force them to be dismissed, particularly when your teammates are dependent on them. Here, Boston College sits atop the ACC standings, undefeated so far, 13-4 overall. But, this is a team that was going to surprise an awful lot of people. Without Sean Williams, obviously with him on the defensive end, without McClain coming off the bench and helping, that's pretty much, I think, the end of that season for the Boston College Eagles, and it's a shame. Jared Dudley, probably Conference Player of the Year.
Even with the great Jared Dudley, I was about to say, who leads the ACC in scoring and rebounding. 43-19. This is Lawson down the lane, dumps it off. No basket, but a foul. As Green had good position and they fed him.
Again, we talked about the ability to play at different speeds, to push the ball, but also to be able to execute in the half court. You take a look at the field goals there. Neither team exactly lighten it up. But again, the turnovers for Clemson, they equal the field goals, and Carolina with 1 more field goal than turnovers. Points off turnovers, that's what's keeping Clemson within striking distance.
That's only Danny Green's 2nd miss all year. He came into this game hitting 13 out of 14 from the line. That one was a little too strong, and you see the depth of the heels again as Roy Williams and the staff continue to shuttle players in and out. The Heels have only hit 6 of 9 as a team. They're not a great free throw shooting team, but Clemson is last in the league. So by comparison, they're not bad. Green will get a breather. Rivers is back in, has not been any kind of an offensive factor in this game, even though he's their leading scorer, one of 5 guys in double figures.
Carolina in their 1-3-1 zone right now. Again, give a little bit of rest, but also to change looks for Clemson, as Clemson has gotten a couple of good opportunities in the half court against the man.
Rivers trying to get open against that zone. Hammonds does, and Hammonds knocks down his 2nd three-pointer of the night.
I don't think we're going to see the zone that much more often. I don't think Roy Williams is comfortable with it anyway.
Wes Miller in the ballgame gets it to Hansbrough. A little too strong. Hansbrough fights for the offensive rebound, puts it up and draws the foul. Looks like Sykes got him on the arm. And that will be 2 on Raymond Sykes.
Oliver Purnell not happy with the call, but the problem is that Sykes started down to reach for the ball, and then he straightened his arms up, but he'd already made the contact. See, at that stage, Sykes being a good shot blocker, you just go for the shot block when you're on Hansbrough, rather than try to play handsies with him, because he's too big and strong. You're going to get caught.
Hansbrough was all ACC a year ago as a freshman, only the 6th person in the rich history of the ACC to do that. He has 5 tonight. It's 26-22.
Hansbrough getting a little bit more involved in the offensive side of it. A lot of it has to do with him getting offensive rebounds rather than his team able to get him the ball.
Well, the crowd really upset because there was some contact against Cliff Hammonds and no call.
Nice move.
Hamilton Just got it inside to Brandon Wright, and the freshman scores. North Carolina doing a lot better job than Clemson in the half-court set. There's a three by Hammonds. That won't go, and Les Miller with a long rebound. This guy has done very, very well shooting and passing the ball in his North Carolina career.
When you look at the penetration right there, once you get in the paint, you force the defense to at least cover and collapse. And Wright, as long as he is, you just got to put it up in his general vicinity, up in the air. He'll go get it.
Miller, a very steady player to inbound. Hansbrough lost it, but last touch by Clemson. When a crowd right now is a little edgy, they're making a lot of noise even when there's an obvious call that goes against the Tigers. Hansbrough, tough pitch, intercepted by Hamilton. Miller is back, but Hamilton beats him. Boy, Hamilton is so quick. Number one all-time in steals for the Clemson Tigers. And Hansbrough gets down short, blocked from behind by Booker. That would have been huge, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, it's gotten everybody out of their seats. For the most part, about 90% of them are out.
Hansbrough, touch pass.
And that's what I mean by the length of Brandon Wright is such a benefit. Hansbrough with the touch pass didn't have to be exact. He just had to throw it in the general direction above the rim where only Wright could get it, and Wright will go get it.
30-24. He's fouled.
And again, you forget because he's big and strong, you forget how agile Tyler Hansbrough is. Again, tough touch right there. He just throws it up where Wright can get it. Just on a little touch pass. Well, actually threw it to the side, but out of the reach of everybody else. Wasn't as necessarily high as it was wide, and Wright sticks those long arms almost out of bounds to grab it and bring it back in.
Booker, a 70% free throw shooter on this team. He's the go-to guy.
Well, again, the worst free throw shooting team collectively. Got to find somebody. Free throw shooting, like scoring, can be contagious. You got to find somebody who's going to hit on a consistent basis. Clemson only 50%, actually less than now, 4 of 9 from the free throw line, and that's where the missed opportunities as far as the Tigers go have occurred.
Brandon Wright throws it away. Sam Perry got it up too far and too wide from Mays. Ginyard back the other way.
You could just see the eye contact. You knew something like that was coming.
Yeah. Drive baseline and a block. How many athletes are out there right now, Les?
How many get to play? You got 10 guys out there that can run, jump, and shoot. And Marcus Ginyard, again, not really good elevation, an off-balance shot on the baseline.
Had 8 blocked shots between the two teams so far. Green is back in.
Again, we talk about the depth of both teams, and Carolina and Clemson keep coming with people, but Carolina's guys just a little bit better off the bench.
Mays nearly with another steal. We've got a timeout. 3:54 to go. First half.
Also, Savage on the UPS halftime report. Tom Brennan and Doug Gottlieb will add some perspective on the breaking news about Sean Williams being dismissed from the BC team. The impact it's going to have, you've heard Len Elmore say it all, but effectively ends their ACC title hopes. Big night in the Big East. Notre Dame, Syracuse, West Virginia, all in action, and more on the blockbuster trade between the Pacers and the Warriors. That's at the half.
Carl, thanks very much. The lead here is 6 for North Carolina. Let's check in with Doris.
But clearly, the defensive pressure has been great on both sides of the ball all night, guys. Oliver Purnell was just talking about his end offensively. He said, gentlemen, they're pressuring, so we've got to have constant movement. He said, as soon as you pass the ball, pick away. If you're on the weak side, look to interchange. He said, but we need constant movement to try to release some of this pressure, Lenny.
Well, I'll tell you, Doris, the biggest thing to release the pressure And you take a look right there. Clemson having trouble in the half court, but full court, that's how Clemson is staying close within 6 points, 16 points off turnovers. But pressure release for Clemson will come with movement and also dribbling towards the guy who's being overplayed and force that defender to make a decision. You got back doors or you got clear outs.
Green out of North Babylon, New York, with that range buries the 3. The lead has grown to 9 points. And they get Rivers a couple of cracks from outside.
Well, right now, when Oliver Bennell talked about his team and releasing pressure, Carolina back in the zone. So you got a whole new look, a whole different way you have to attack. But you still have to go inside out. And right now, Clemson just throwing the ball around the perimeter. That's not going to get it. It's going to wind up with a long shot, maybe by the wrong guy.
And Mays is the wrong guy. He'd only made 2 3-pointers all year long. That's his 3rd all season. Carolina back down court in a hurry again, and they beat the Clemson defense.
You can never relax against North Carolina. You have no time to celebrate even good offensive plays because they're right down your throat as soon as that ball is through the net. And that's by design.
Yes, it is. All you have to do is drop your head for a couple of seconds and they got 2 points. Mays again.
See, he's pressing his luck right now. Carolina in that zone primarily to entice long jumpers by guys like James Mays. You get lucky once, but in the long run, the percentages are against you.
Well, Oliver Purnell does not want James Mays taking 3-point shots. I don't care if he hit the first one or not.
Absolutely. What he wants is Mays to work around that rim for offensive rebounding, which is probably high against the zone.
Lawson threw it away, then the ball's bobbled. Here comes Hannah. Green. Oh, what a shot! Holy cow!
Well, Cliff Hammonds again, one of those guys not known for that athleticism, but Danny Green with the facial. Green says, I never touched him, but it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't.
Are you kidding? Oh, the junior. 6'3" over the 6'5" defender. And Clemson just brutal at the free throw.
Boy, what a way to deflate your team after making a great play like this and then to have Ellington come down and break your heart.
I mean, they're 4 out of 10 on the free throw line, and then Ellington buries it to match the biggest lead of 9. Nice baseline drive by Rivers, but he can't buy anything tonight. Throwdown Thursday presented by IBM will feature the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest against 17th-ranked Duke. Student Spirit Week continues at 7 p.m. Eastern Thursday on ESPN2. Available in high definition on ESPN2 HD. That's Handful picking up a bucket. Biggest lead of the night.
Again, early in the game, Clemson making good decisions offensively. And now against the changing defenses, an awful lot of problems. And that's what Oliver Bennell wants to talk about right now.
He wants to stop the momentum, if nothing else, with 1:31 to go first half. North Carolina with a 40-29 lead, 1:31 to go. First half of play for Clemson, South Carolina. Mike Patrick, Glenn Elmore, Doris Burke. Our entire ESPN crew. Glad you could join us for ACC Wednesday between number 4 and number 16.
I think the biggest battle for Clemson right now is to be able to recognize the defenses against which they're playing and understand where they need to attack. Except for the transition buckets, Clemson's had an awful lot of difficulty getting the ball to guys in a position where they can be successful, both against the zone and the man. And here, even against the out-of-bounds play, had a little difficulty getting the ball open, and that should rarely happen.
Let's hit the Wayback Machine and take you to 2001, February 18th. That's when Matt Doherty led Joe Forte, Brendan Haywood, and the #1 ranked Tar Heels into Littlejohn Coliseum. And Thomas Nagise, who had made all of one three-pointer all year, hit one from the top of the key at about the 10-minute mark, and his trade put the Tigers up 7. They went on to win it 75-65 over the #1 team in the nation. North Carolina was #1 until this weekend when Virginia Tech got them in Blacksburg.
And one of the key characteristics that's similar to this game is the fact that Carolina's still turning the ball over liberally. 17 turnovers at the Virginia Tech game, but Virginia Tech was able to capitalize not only off the turnovers but in their offensive sets. Clemson wasting the opportunities here and not hitting free throws.
Well, it's almost a given, isn't it? Back in the man-to-man. This is Rivers. They're going to switch to that zone again. Doesn't Rivers have to make baskets? He's their best outside shooter.
But they're going to have to attack it inside out, though, to give the guys an opportunity.
Hammonds from way outside. And 3 Carolina players all over that ball. Quentin Thomas in to run the clock. Hansborough. Ellington very quick around the elbow. Thomas, nice change of direction. Terry, 15-footer.
Well, that's just excellent ball movement and obviously movement without the ball. Carolina guys looking for each other. They have an idea of what they want to do. Clemson guys have to get back to that. They did it earlier in the game. Getting the ball inside the Mays, inside the Booker, kicking it back outside for open shooters. But here, passing laterally and trying to shoot long shots is not going to work.
Clemson getting nothing but long ones. What a tip! Brandon Wright. Carolina's showing you everything right now. They're up 44-29, 9-0 run. In the last 2 minutes, they have simply dominated the Clemson Tigers. 5 seconds on the game clock. Good finish by Hammonds. Timed it out perfectly and gets the last bucket, but that still leaves the Tigers down by 13.
And second half, you hope Clemson looks for more of this. Off the bounce, but to the basket, not around the perimeter. Attacking inside out is what Clemson needs to do more of.
That's about the first time they've gotten inside 18 feet in several possessions. North Carolina, 13 of the last 21 in field goal shooting. And the Heels, by the way, undefeated when they lead at the half. And right now they're up by 13. The halftime score, 44-29. Let's join Carl Ravitch in the studio for our halftime report.
Hi, Michael. Thank you very much. You're on the UPS Halftime Report. Remember, Clemson was 17-0, and then, of course, they lost to Maryland. They're in big-time danger here. And their next game is at home, but it's against a Boston College team that was red hot. But the big news out of the ACC tonight is that Boston College has dismissed 2 players. One of them very significant, Sean Williams, 3rd in the country in block shots, arguably the Defensive Player of the Year, or certainly one of the candidates. He's been dismissed for violating team rules, along with the junior forward Akita McClain, who really hasn't played much at all. But you have Marshall, you have Dudley, and you had Williams, and you had a really formidable team. What is this going to do to the Eagles?
I think this really crushes the Eagles. I mean, this is, forget Greg Oden. As of right now, Sean Williams is the best shot blocker in college basketball. Great shot blocker, rebounder. His offense is really coming along of late. This team had won 6 consecutive games. And more than anything, personally, it hurt Sean Williams. It's going to hurt him in the wallet. This is a guy that's a lottery pick, the NBA draft. It's going to hurt his draft stock. I don't know how a Boston College team, a veteran team that's just learning to recover from losing Craig Smith with all that point production, rebound production, just finding its kind of legs in the ACC. TB, I don't know how they come back for something like this.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a coach, I think the first thing you do here is you go have a good cry, because you are losing a game changer. I mean, this guy, it's not like he gets that X amount of points, but he changes the game dramatically. What you really have to look out for here when you're a coach, this is the problem. When your kids are sitting there looking at you, they're saying, I don't want to hear what you believe in. I want to hear what you do. What do you reward? And the guy's been on a banana peel for 2.5 years, always trying to give him second chances. Obviously, Al Skinner wants to bring him back in, but at this point, he can no longer do that. This can be a defining moment for Boston College. This is who we are. We've all bought in. He hasn't.
Marijuana charge. He was suspended for the fall semester last year. Actually spent some time with John Lucas because he wasn't allowed to be in school. You look at the ACC standings, and Doug, they're right on top at 5-0, but again, they go to Little John on Saturday.
Well, North Carolina has been incredibly impressive here at Little John, but Clemson's a good team. What you're seeing is those top couple teams have some veterans, and that's what hurts Boston College as much as anything. You not only lose a formidable presence on the inside, but you lose a guy who's been through the battles, been through the wars, been through the NCAA tournament.
Plus, they don't play quick, so possessions are really important. Now, this guy takes away 10 of your possessions by blocking your shot or altering it. Makes a world of difference.
He was a security blanket back there. They're without that security blanket. BC, of course, used to play in the Big East. A lot of teams in the Big East in action tonight. We'll check on some of those that are highly ranked. West Virginia, we'll get into Syracuse, Notre Dame, all in action, all coming up at the half.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Infinity, makers of the all-new 306 horsepower G, designed beyond machine. This halftime report is delivered by UPS. What can Brown do for you?
Well, North Carolina leading Clemson by a score of 44-31. The Tar Heels playing real good basketball right now, and Clemson in danger of losing their second straight after winning 17 in a row to start the season. Elsewhere, Notre Dame dealing with Villanova. Larry Brown taking in the game. On the breakaway, Scotty Reynolds looks for Shane Clark, and that works well.
From my expert analyst perch, I have determined Scotty Reynolds no longer a freshman. He's just a basketball player now.
Paying you for the insight like that. Nardi, Curtis Sumter drains the three. What does your expert analysis say about Nardi on this play, Doug?
Well, it's important that Nardi and Sumter start to get their game together. This team's lost 3 of 4, but they have the Irish, and they have Texas at home this Saturday. They want to hop back in the picture as an NCAA tournament team. These home wins are imperative.
Well, they are at 1-3 right now, very much in need of wins like this. They are up at home by a score of 50-40. Youngstown, the 15th ranked team in the country, is Butler. Okay, we can move forward. 42-18.
Ooh, bad day to be a Penguin, huh?
Yeah.
Penguin type of weather outside.
Amen.
That's a good point. 42-18 there. Syracuse taking on Cincinnati. Jimmy B and company. Cincinnati has been awful this year, and there's your block inside. Devendorf's got the ball. There's your outlet, and there's an easy 2 for the Cuse.
Well, this team has been playing some great defense. Last 3 games, 37, 28, 36% defensive field goal percentage. Terrence Roberts got 16 at the half. And by the way, Cincinnati shooting only 28% at the half.
And Mick Cronin just has to remember, you got your dream job. This is the one you wanted. It's going to take some time. Just don't get impatient, and you'll be fine.
Deal with the nightmares. The Devendorf 3 goes down. Doug, you talked about Roberts and his 16. You saw a handful of them.
Look at that field goal percentage defense. I mean, forget what's happening offensively. They're playing better. They've sat Paul Harris down. The freshman's not playing as much. They're playing better. But defensively, Syracuse is coming along, starting to make a push.
Cincinnati shooting 11 of 40. West Virginia and South Florida, the Mountaineers host Chris Howard, the loose ball. Stripped by Deshaun Butler. Alex Ruoff with an easy layup. West Virginia is blowing them away early, 16-4. McHugh Mattis spinning the baseline, gets it in off the window, and it's now 18-9.
You just can't fall asleep in this league. You can't take any nights off. Obviously, South Florida is who you want to be playing if you're going to pick one team, but you got to be ready every time you go out there.
Defensively, they took that trip off. Long 3 from Smulligan. West Virginia up 29-20.
You know what I call home court advantage? When your mascot is armed. And West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, great home court advantage. Mascots all armed.
Carrying weapons. The Orange wasn't carrying weapons. They were on the road. The Bearcats, West Virginia 34, South Florida 23. That game has gone to the half. We'll come back. North Carolina putting it to Clemson, though the highlight of the night might be Cliff Hammond, 2 of his 11. We'll come back with more on the big NBA deal next.
All right.
This halftime report is delivered by UPS. What can Brown do for you?
Big trade in the NBA. Al Harrington, part of an 8-player deal that sends he and Steven Jackson to Golden State. Mike Dunleavy, one of the players that goes back to Indiana. So the big trade in the NBA, and they'll have much more of this on NBA Fast Break, which comes up at 1:20 a.m. Eastern Time. Most believe that Murphy and Dunleavy and Ike Diagu and those happy to be leaving Indiana, while the others believe that people like Harrington and Jackson are happy to be going to Golden State. We'll see if they're better off in the new places. And again, NBA Fast Break follows us at 1:20 a.m. Eastern Time. College game night then at 1:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Gottlieb and Brennan couldn't be more fired up for that one. Welcome back. So will, we hope, Clemson make this game close. Right now it has been Mr. Green flying high over the orange with the Heels up 44-31. Second half, turn.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And Charles Schwab. Don't worry about it. Talk about it. With a Schwab financial consultant. Talk to Chuck. Charles Schwab.
North Carolina over Clemson. ACC Wednesday presented by Staples, and there is the 13-point halftime lead. And when you're Clemson and you're playing one of the best teams in the country, and you have a history of not beating North Carolina, everybody better play well and live up to their numbers. The thing that jumps out at me is Casey Rivers is the leading Clemson scorer, and he's not scored.
Well, 0 for 6 from the floor, and Rivers seemed to be pressing a little bit. He's gotten some shots, but in the end, it comes down to Clemson, except for the 18 points they've gotten off of turnovers, really not proficient in the half court. You look at the rebounds, out of those 28, 8 offensive rebounds for Carolina, 11 points in second chance opportunities. If you're Clemson, you've got to be able to continue to apply the pressure, create the turnovers, and convert in transition. But more importantly, you've got to be able to execute the half court. Carolina changed defenses, and Clemson had a world of trouble with the change. Didn't they ever?
Here's the steal. Perry gets the Tigers off on the right foot.
And that's part of the equation right now. Continue to pressure, get the baskets in transition.
Triple team in the backcourt. They beat it. Advantage with numbers if they want it. And they do. Brandon Wright finishes it off.
Well, again, Carolina, obviously they have worked against pressure when they work against each other, so that doesn't really faze them. And in the end, they're going to continue to attack. When you got the length and size that Carolina has up front, you've got many ways that you can attack the zone press. See, here's where Clemson has its difficulty.
Mays, point blank, can't hit it. Rebounder Wright, lost it. Wright with a block and knocked it out of bounds.
Although that time they got it into Mays. Mays with a little tough luck, but you've got to be able to attack Carolina inside out. Force them to adjust to the ball going inside the Mays, and then guys moving without it. Find some open shooters if Mays is doubled and tripled.
Booker rather, and he lost it on the way up. Having to pack right. Oh, he
traveled and got away with it. And that's what the crowd is screaming about.
13 points for Brandon Wright, 48-33. Obviously, the Tigers intent on going inside, but Booker's just 2 in a row. He missed that one by a foot and a half.
Booker's been fading away. Every time he gets it in close, he fades away, and that doesn't help him any. Not going to get any calls.
Ellington scores, and Oliver Purnell is watching this game get out of hand. He's down by 17, calls a timeout, a minute 35 in.
C-L-E-F in cadence count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C-L-E-F-S-O-N. T-I-G-E-O-N. Vikings, 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 Vikings.
Clemson could use some of that student spirit right now. Oliver Purnell felt like the stretch of that first half was where his guys got tied up offensively, frustrated that they stopped scoring. And Lenny, something you touched on. He said he thought it had an impact on their defense. They stopped turning Carolina over. Remember, in that first 10 minutes, 11 Carolina turnovers. He said we need to get back to that because we thought we could outscore Carolina. It's about stops, stops, and more stops right now.
Absolutely. The ability to string together stops help them to get more possessions on the other end when they can finally solve the Carolina defense in the half court.
The Heels have scored 15 of the last 19 points going back to the first half. No basket there, a foul before the shot. Very good officiating crew. Mike Deeds, Roger Ayers, and Duke Edsel working this ball game. And Rivers is going to come in.
The important thing for KC Rivers now is to forget the first half. This is a brand new ball game. Start from scratch. Pretend like you made all 6 of those field goals in the first half instead of going for the donut.
Hammond's in the lane with a floater. Hung on the rim and wouldn't go for it. Lawson pushes. Great speed. Hansbrough with a follow. Almost spun out, but drops. And Lawson reminds you a little of Raymond Felton, doesn't he?
Well, he certainly does. Obviously, he's been watching tape, recognizing the open opportunities after the other team scores or after you get a rebound, and that's what a point guard should do. Push the ball up the floor, read the defense. If there are no numbers there, execute the half court, get it to people who need it, and then break the defense down when the shot clock runs down.
Tipped by Rivers. He got his first basket on the tip.
That's what you have to do. You try for the easy ones.
Like that?
Absolutely. Carolina getting far too many of them against the pressure right now. But if you're Casey Rivers, you know, you only got 1 field goal out of 7 tries. You look for some easy baskets. That starts to calm your nerves a little bit. So when your regular shot shows up, you're able to feel more relaxed when you shoot it.
Mays tried to get inside, picked up the second foul on Brandon Wright.
Clemson cannot be content with trading baskets with Carolina. They have to continue to focus on scoring in their half court. You got to continue to create turnovers, but more importantly, as Doris said, and as Oliver Purnell has implored his team, you got to make stops and string them together.
Well, that's the only thing that's going to bring him back from 19 down. Their three-point shooting is not going to do it.
Well, Carolina's not going to let you back in it.
Let them play. Rivers.
Yeah, Carolina's made it a point to get in front of Rivers every time he receives.
Big spin there to get by Lawson. Lawson picks up his third.
Although guarding Casey Rivers with Ty Lawson at 5'11", and he's all of that. At 6'5", Rivers obviously has the reach and the height advantage. You should feel comfortable in elevating over him to get that shot.
Hamilton to inbound to Hammonds. 16:29 and counting. And Rivers and Hammonds getting each other's way, and Hammonds last off his hand out of bounds.
Clemson has to be careful. They can't make it too complicated.
No.
You know, it's all about getting people out of position. May's a good ball handler. Probably the better serve sitting on the floor. But here's where the game is won or lost there defensively. You got to be able to make some stops.
Hansbrough blocked again. Good defense by Trevor Booker. Reach in and a steal. Thomas, nice job, gets it off. That's an offensive foul.
Well, that's the second time today that Ginyard just not recognizing where the defense is and tries to pull him over.
He gets his money's worth, 54-35. Tonight's game is available in high definition on ESPN HD, presented by Olivia. Let's join Carl Ravitch in the studio. Carl?
Michael, back to the action there in just 1 second. Curtis Sumter hasn't always been a huge three-point threat, but he is going to get the ball behind the line and fire one up here. He's got 3 from deep and 18 points. Villanova on top by 14. Kobe Bryant's in the house, averaging just under 28 a game. You'll be able to see the Lakers and Spurs following the second half.
All right, thanks, Carl. Boy, some teams have been up and down in the Big East, huh? Just when you think somebody's going to be really, really good, they lose one.
A pretty young conference right there, dominated by sophomores. If you look at all the individual statistical rankings, a lot of sophomores up there leading them. And, you know, you're still going to get that inconsistency. But Curtis Sumter, what a story. You know, among the leaders records in scoring in the top 3. Here's a guy that missed all of last season with a knee injury. That was a magical season for Villanova. Decided to come back. He's having a pretty darn good year.
Potter tried to keep it alive and did, and Quentin Thomas will commit the foul. That is the 15th foul against North Carolina. Clemson has yet to be called with one.
Again, that'll help to get trips to the line, but you're going to have to drop some free throws in if you're Clemson.
Just going to the line, we've seen, doesn't do you any good, except it gives you a little rest.
But I stated earlier, Carolina's not going to let Clemson back in the ballgame. Clemson's going to have to go out and take it, make an aggressive move like that to the basket. Recognizing Carolina in foul trouble right now, might be a little tendency to back off.
A nice job by Mays to switch hands going down the line. Terry had it blocked by Booker, who has really developed into a tremendous shot blocker as the freshman.
We talked about
on Terry is his third.
Talked about Booker before, 5th in the conference in blocks. And these are the most difficult ones. On a jump shot, this good timing. Terry thought he had plenty of room, and Booker made up that room quickly.
Does Clemson have a run? They're down by 17, plenty of time.
Well, you expect them to have a run, particularly here at home with this crowd, but the question is how much energy will they expend to try to get back into this ball game, and will they have enough to finish?
Shot won't go. Terry ahead of the pack, stolen. Vernon Hamilton, what a play. And now Rivers, sloppy and lost it back the other way. Basket and the foul by Brandon Wright. You just had a feeling Wright wasn't going to be denied on that one.
Well, it breaks your heart. Tremendous defense by Vernon Hamilton, only for Rivers to give it up. And right there, again, the length of Wright, beyond compare. But the thing is, once Casey Rivers got possession of it going the other way, you've got to be careful now. You look at the time and score, possession count. Don't try to make more of it than it is. Make sure you're going to get a good shot every possession.
17 points for Brandon Wright tonight. He's hit 8 out of 9 free throws. Came into the game shooting 55, or 8 out of 9 field goals. The 55% free throw shooter at the line. You see why. That's way off. 56-37. And Matt Morris, the junior from Georgetown, South Carolina, a walk-on, comes off Oliver Purnell's bench.
But he's a 41% three-point shooter, so you know why he's in the ballgame.
They get it to him. This is Hammonds.
See, Clemson's got to resist the anxiety. Stop rushing and work their game. That was probably one of the better half-court executions, aggressively attacking, forcing the defense to collapse and finding the shooter.
Rivers, who was held scoreless in the first half, has 4. Ginyard trying to go baseline and cut off. Crowd's trying to get back into it. Terry playing with those 3 guys, and for a nice hit.
And great patience by Carolina. You talk about time and score. They know what time it is.
Yes, they do. Check in with Doris. What do you have?
Well, guys, Clemson to Oliver Purnell, I asked him. His history is such that he has rebuilt several programs. I said, what is it that allows you to be able to do this? He's done it most recently at Old Dominion and Dayton. Here's his year-by-year record at Clemson. Clearly progress. He said, I understand that it takes patience. He said, one of the things you have to understand is there will be bumps in the road and that doubters will exist. Clearly tonight may be one of those bumps in the road. His assistant, Frank Smith, told me he has great ability to build team chemistry, and he's a guy we tease him for it relentlessly. He sees the glass as always half full. I'm not sure he's feeling that right at this moment, however, gentlemen.
Now, tonight there may be a crack in it. They started leaking with about 8 minutes to go in the first half. But boy, he has done a wonderful job. Another block. Clemson, if nothing else, can block a ton of shots. That's 10 tonight. That's demoralizing for the other team.
Well, the thing about it, though, is Carolina continues to attack, though. They continue to go to the basket.
Boy, Quentin Thomas just got away with a holding in Jersey. Again, the crowd really got upset about it.
And again, going inside the Trevor Booker does doesn't help when he tries to shoot that jump up and he drifts. You got to go to the basket. That's when you're going to get success. And again, that's a young guy learning how to play inside.
Thomas got to the baseline, lost control, and threw it away.
And that was almost an unforced error. Thomas just lost it.
That's been his history. Hammond's got around Miller. Got it.
See, when Clemson is aggressive and attacking, they have success.
Miller back the other way. Nice move by the senior. Played at James Madison as a freshman and then transferred. Always wanted to play at North Carolina.
And he's a perfect guy for their system. Plays his role for the most part. Stands around outside, looks for the three, handles the ball. 3-to-1 assist-turnover ratio. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Air ball.
See, when they're not aggressive, Clemson's offense looks ugly.
Yes, it really does. And it's capped off by an air ball. 11:41 to go in the game. The Heels still by 19.
The A's just about a half hour away here on ESPN. And Tony Parker. We know that Kobe's in the building. Parker's there, too. He's getting warm. Spurs and Lakers comes up next on ESPN.
And there are the numbers on Bryant and Parker this year. Kobe almost 28 points a game. Parker just a little over 19. And that game will come your way when we're done here.
You talk about Kobe Bryant scoring less but enjoying it more, as his team has become a much more diversified attack, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Clemson, the old bugaboo tonight. They're hitting only 5 out of 14 shots in the second half. Reach in, ball taken away. Still loose, and Clemson has it. Got to turn these into points to have a chance. Mays against Hansbrough. Can't get the basketball. Will go to the line. Check in with Carl Ravitch. A 30-30 update.
Hi, Mike. Thank you very much. Big news from the ACC. The dismissal of Sean Williams and Akita McClain. Williams, arguably the defensive player of the year, one of the best shot blockers in the country, dismissed for violating team rules. More on that on SportsCenter. And also Colt Brennan, according to ESPN's Joe Shad, will return to Hawaii to play next year. It has taken him almost 72 hours to make up his mind, but apparently, according to Joe Shad, he's going back.
Hey guys, watch out!
Is that a good name for a quarterback? Colt Brennan?
You asking me?
Yeah.
The only better name might be the initials TD.
Clemson has now hit 5 out of 12 from the line.
We talked about that earlier. Any kind of close game situation or come from behind situation, you got to be able to connect on free throws. And that's a steep hill for Clemson to climb.
The sad thing is 5 out of 12 is not unusual. 21 seconds on the shot clock. It does not reset. Lawson playing with those 3 fouls. And Hansbrough banged inside by Mays, and Mays will pick up his second personal foul. That is only the 3rd team foul called against Clemson. The Heels have already committed 7. Hansbrough is way outside. Mays forces him to pick up his dribble. Now Lawson. Down the lane. Doesn't get the roll. Clemson ball, but saved for Lawson. Tough pass. Tried to fire it across the lane. Tigers run and score off the left hand of Hammond. 60-44. Quickly back the other way. Lawson double clutch and throws it away. Mays gives it up to Hamilton. Is this the run, Len? This is what they have to have.
Well, staying quiet just to see if they could string a couple of them together. Stops and then conversions. And here you got a 3-on-1 break.
Ellington pull-up jumper. In, out, back in again.
About about as soft as church music right there. Just stayed right on the rim and found his way home.
Mays facing up against Brandon Wright. Can't hit the shot. Follow no good, and Brandon Wright blocks the second follow attempt. Fight for the ball. Going to be a tie-up. Let's check in with Doris.
Guys, Wes Miller moments ago scored his first two-point field goal of this season. He's got 90 career field goals. 88 of them are threes. This is just his 8th two all-time in his 4-year career. He once told me, I'd line up at center, guys, if I could get on the floor.
And Doris, why not shoot the threes? They're worth 3 points. The only 2 he's made are worth 2 points.
Well, that was uncharted territory on that layup right there for Wes Miller. But again, he's
Charlotte, North Carolina.
consummate role player.
Steal by Hamilton. He's fouled by Thomas. Quentin Thomas had played very solidly coming off the bench as a second or a third point guard this year, but not tonight. He has struggled. And Hamilton, hard to believe, he shoots 47.4% from the free throw. This is a shooting guard.
And interestingly enough, I mean, it's definitely mental. I was watching him in practice before the game.
Nice rotation.
And he had everything, and he hit about 10 or 12 of them in a row. But I guess once you get on that line in the heat of competition, you tighten up a little bit. Start to believe those numbers.
That just makes you want to turn your head, doesn't it?
Close your eyes. You might be better off.
Yeah. Ellington picks up his dribble 9 on the shot clock. Thomas, good penetration. Tries to get up the runner. It's blocked by Booker, but out of bounds.
Well, interesting. You take a look right here. Shot clock going down. It goes down to about 4. There's the block.
That's 8 blocks.
Now, Wes Miller has just come in the game to replace Thomas to inbound the ball. Expect him to come off the screen, maybe looking for a shot.
Shot clock's going to expire. They just got it off.
You know Miller was in there to try to come off and look for a 3 that availed themselves of it.
Can't buy one. Taken away by May. Swipes it from Green. Green returns the favor and blocks it from behind. Boy, how many athletic plays can we see at both ends of the floor?
Well, we talk about Danny Green and his versatility, but how about James Mays again in the top 10 in the ACC in rebounds and steals.
Boy, hand throw got thrown out of here by Booker. 3 won't go. The rebound to Brandon Wright. Great looking pressure. Stolen back the other way. Sloppy ball handling by Ellington. Hamilton for 3. Air ball. He says he was fouled. No call. Says, I'm not going to shoot an air ball. Somebody got me on the arm. Terry lost it. Hands throw. Look at that touch.
Called rotation, rotation, rotation. Nice and soft. As I said, you've seen a couple of the Carolina guys shoot it up there and hit every part of the rim before it goes down.
64-44. 7:38 to go in the game. Hansbrough, one of the young stars in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Look at the rotation on the ball. As I said, hits every part of that rim.
Remember the first time Roy Williams ever talked about Tyler Hansbrough. He said this young man has a chance to be a fantastic player, and it's certainly panning out. Now you take a look at the ACC standings. Things are going to change because of the developments tonight. The 2 players have been dismissed from Boston College team, especially Sean Williams, the great rebounder. And with Dudley, that that gave them a tremendous 1-2 punch. So Boston College with that 5-0 start, you said it, their chances of winning an ACC championship probably evaporated tonight.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Sean Williams was one of those guys that was the mainstay on the defensive end. You know, one of the leading shot blockers in the nation, and certainly in the ACC. You know, you can go out, you can extend your defense, you can pressure because you know you have an eraser back there. Plus, he gave him some pretty good play inside on the offensive end. And I also think from a morale standpoint, they have got to be down. Now, you look at a guy like Jared Dudley, I talk about him as a potential player of the year candidate in the ACC. He's the one guy as a leader that's going to have to bring his guys back. They're going to have to forget about what happened here. January 20th, they're right here at Clemson. And there's going to be a test for them to see if they can overcome what I consider a tragic situation. And Al Skinner, knowing him as I do, this wasn't something that was thought of lightly or capriciously. Sean Williams and Akita McClain had to do something tremendously bad for Al Skinner to make this decision, because he understands how important this game can be to young men.
Booker trying to penetrate. Perry with that unusual shooting style, and he is fouled. It's going to be the first foul on Ellington. And we'll shoot free throws when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Staples, that was easy, and in part by McDonald's.
Carl Robinson, our College Hoop Studios, 1-3 in conference. Villanova getting a big performance tonight. Mike Nardi knocks down a 3. That puts them up 77-66. Meantime, a couple of other games. Wisconsin by 5 over Purdue. Highlights on College Game Night at 1:40 a.m. Eastern Time of all these games. Tim Duncan, NBA, set to start in about 15 minutes. It is the Lakers and Spurs. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Carl, thanks very much. And North Carolina enjoying its largest lead of the ball game right now. They're up by 20, 64-44. And Sam Perry will go to the free throw line. Clemson has imploded here in the second half. They've hit only 6 out of 22 shots. And for the game, 3 out of 16 from three-point range. You take 16 threes and hit only 3 of them, you're going to lose.
Well, Carolina is pretty good on the perimeter. They limit teams to about 34% from beyond the arc. That's not great. But, you know, they've had some help. Again, Clemson with some off-balance threes as well, and the wrong guys shooting threes. That is a great move. That is what Clemson lacked for these past, I don't know, 17 minutes, 20 minutes. They've lacked the ability to go inside, and whether by intention or omission, but they needed to get James Mays involved.
Terry forces it up and gets it stuck. Clemson on the run. Hammonds for 3. No. Every time there has been a sequence where you think, you know, a couple of big baskets and they're right back in the ballgame, they haven't been able to make it.
Well, they've fallen in love with the 3. Again, time and score situation. You want to close it to underneath double figures before you can start thinking about maybe pulling up and taking a shot with a 3. You know, right now, Clemson's just giving away possessions. They're shooting horribly from beyond the arc, and they're giving away possessions when they shoot threes, especially when they shoot them on the fast break.
And you saw they forced the heels so far in the 19 turnovers. I mean, that's a lot of turnovers, and they just haven't done enough there. Nice runner by Wayne Ellington, the freshman from Wynwood, Pennsylvania, who was the co-player of the year in Philadelphia with Duke's Gerald Henderson. Scoops out, won't go, but the follow will.
All of a sudden now, you know, Clemson attacking with their big people, attacking the front line, offensive rebounding.
Lawson slices it, kicks it out to Ellington. Terry with the steal, ball on the floor, hands for over those strong hands, comes out, then he lost it. Throwdown Thursday, presented by IBM, features the Wake Forest Demon Deacons against the number 17 Duke Blue Devils. Student Spirit Week continues at 7 p.m. Eastern Thursday on ESPN2, available in high definition on ESPN2 HD. And we will be at Duke tomorrow night. We will be joined by the legendary Bucky Waters. We can fit 3 guys in the booth upstairs at Duke. It's a tight fit, especially with Len up there. You know you do take up a lot of space.
I don't know if Announcerville was made for the 3 of us.
It wasn't really.
like I said, I'll sit on Bucky's lap and I'll be his dummy to his ventriloquist.
He's been around the ACC for a long time. Player, coach, observer. Hands for a 15-footer. No.
You want to know how long?
How long?
He recruited me. He did. Back in 1970.
That's been a while. Offensive foul on Mays. Lowered the shoulder and ran into Hansbrough.
Now, if I'm Oliver Cornell, I'm not really upset by that move. Somebody's got to do something, again, to make an aggressive move to the basket, something that they sorely lacked during the time that North Carolina built this lead.
It's been a great night for Carolina, really. They come in here off a loss, facing an enormous crowd. This place is packed to the rafters, beyond capacity, with a team that's only lost once, and that was this weekend, so they're hungry too, and Carolina has had an answer for all of them.
And I think when Roy Williams looks at the numbers, the thing he's going to be most impressed by is Carolina's defense, their ability to limit Clemson, averaging 78 points a game. They're going to be well under that at the end of this ball game. And they did it on Clemson's home floor. That was the thing he was worried about, whether or not his guys would come out with the intensity and the effort on the defensive end, something they lacked for most of the Virginia Tech game.
Just a little too strong for Mays as Booker thought he had him. 17 Clemson turnovers. And this is not a team that's built to come from behind. They don't shoot outside well enough.
No, they don't. And again, we talked about the depth, and Clemson playing 9 guys at double-figure minutes. But by comparison to Carolina, and I said this before, Carolina plays 10 deep and 10 guys in double-figure minutes, but the guys they come off the bench with are a little bit better than the guys most teams come off the bench with.
Well, you always hear that contention. You might be able to take Carolina second 5 and have a competitive team. I think this year it wouldn't be a stretch.
No, as I said before, again, particularly big guys. I mean, you know, Thompson, Stevenson, you look at Danny Green. These are guys that could be starting for just about any team in the country right now. But they
have Miller and Frazier at the guards.
Talent pool is so deep.
Green hits the 3. 68-48. So what was going to be a tremendous matchup has turned into a huge night. Switches hands and banks it off the glass. Biggest lead of the game, 15 for Hansbrough. The Heels by 22. And the Clemson, look at that. Reach in by Hansbrough, took it away from him. When he goes down, Green pushed from behind, he'll be fouled. And Hansbrough, who had that nasty fall, able to get up. Last time down, watch this. Texas, where they've had ice storms the last couple of days. And tonight, they have Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers as they visit the San Antonio Spurs. Tim Duncan and company with the 3rd best record in the NBA, facing a Laker team with the 4th best record. That's coming up next on ESPN. Now back to Mike Patrick. Mike, thanks so much. I've never seen ice on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. That would be interesting. Green will go to the free throw line, trying to extend the North Carolina lead, which is already at 22. Knocks down the free throw. If you're thinking comeback for Clemson with 3:43, it would take a miracle, and they haven't shown any signs of it. 3 out of 18 from three-point range.
Well, it's been a tremendous effort by Carolina to capitalize on their strength, which is their front line.
Roy Williams said he put together that 11.5-minute tape, and that the players would be embarrassed by it. They're not going to be embarrassed by tonight's performance over the 16th ranked team in the country, club that came in 17-1.
Well, it all began with effort, too. I mean, at some point, the young guys on this team, on this Carolina team, have to understand you got to bring it every day. And they brought it tonight. No question about it.
Len Hamilton fouled by Lawson. That's his fourth. And they said in the two losses, Carolina wasn't all that bad. They just played without a lot of emotion. They're very cool. And Roy Williams doesn't like cool. He wants intensity. He wants these guys running and gunning. Already number 2 in the country in points scored. He wants to see number 1 by a big margin. Let's go to Doris.
Well, guys, you've seen a contingent of guards: Ty Lawson, Wes Miller, Quentin Thomas. I'm sure Carolina fans, as they see Bobby Frazier dressed and ready to play, the intention was never to play him. He re-injured that right foot on the last play of the first half against Virginia Tech. The concern early, he missed 6 games, was that it might be a stress fracture. There is no timetable for his return. They will continue to monitor the situation. It was not a factor tonight. Lenny, I don't know what you feel like a loss to with Bobby Frazier would impact the Carolina Tar Heels as this season wears on.
Well, I think it will, obviously, from an experience standpoint. And then you look at the depth or lack thereof. After Ty Lawson, you got a serviceable Wes Miller, and you got a Quentin Thomas that many times you don't know what he's going to give you from night to night. And, as you get deeper into conference play, as you get into tournament play, if Bobby Frazier's not ready, this is a guy that's got experience that, led this team last year to the second round of the NCAA tournament. And so the depth at point guard will be a concern, and Roy Williams certainly will have to work on improving the play of Wes Miller and improving the play of Quentin Thomas.
Well, Frazier had an outstanding assist-to-turnover ratio, and he was a very good outside shooter. So you take those 2 qualities away, and that hurts regardless of what else he has.
Absolutely, and the leadership factor, as I mentioned, the ability to understand how to run and execute the offense in critical situations.
And that is one thing that North Carolina is still searching for, is that leadership factor, because they are so young. And Rayshon Terry, one of the guys they thought would be a natural leader, has struggled with his game. It's hard to be a leader when you're not doing the things you need to do well.
Now, the flip side of it, when you look at this Clemson team, this is a team that we talked about at the beginning of the telecast. They've got athleticism, they've got some skill that a lot of people didn't know about, and experience. But today, I think they were victims of the anxiety, the big crowd, the high expectations. They started playing out of character. They didn't get back defensively. They really didn't shore up in the half court, and they were taking some really bad shots at the most critical time, which allowed Carolina to get the rebound and run. And so, this is a team that, kind of fell victim to the spotlight. They were blinded by the light. And maybe Oliver can use this as a learning experience as these guys go on. Because despite what the score says, Clemson still is a pretty good team.
Yes, they are. And they'll be back in the spotlight several times this year. They and Virginia Tech now, with what has happened at Boston College, probably the only 2 teams that have any kind of shot at North Carolina. Of course, Virginia Tech has already beaten them in Blacksburg. A great win for Seth Greenberg.
Working time off the clock. They recognize that they have put this one away. And they're trying to put Clemson out of their misery.
Terry. And the foul will go against Carolina on the rebound drop. It's time to talk strategy, brought to you by Charles Schwab.
Well, a strategy for Carolina, I mentioned before, go inside to your big guys. That's where your advantage is against a team like Clemson that wants to pressure you all over the floor. Plenty of openings and opportunities. And you're going to take a look here. Here's Brandon Wright. The dribble drive is going to come to the middle. And watch Wright just hold his ground. Penetrate to the middle, force the defense to collapse, and then just put it up in the air for the big guy to find it. And that's the strategy that Carolina employed, and it worked to perfection.
The roll Milos Petrikonis is on the floor. The 6'11 freshman out of Lithuania misses a free throw. Clemson tonight, 5 out of 18 from the line, echoing their three-point shooting woes. And if you're a Clemson fan, you just have to be scared about having a close game because of those free throws.
Well, if that's the case, there's nothing to be afraid of right now.
Well, not tonight. There isn't. Fear is not a factor.
And again, though, if you're at Clemson, you have to be concerned now. It's the second loss in a row, albeit you lost to North Carolina, but at home and with the high expectations, the expectations are going to continue. The question is whether you guys can recover from it, and particularly when they watch the tape. I think, as we mentioned with Carolina and their loss to Virginia Tech, they were kind of embarrassed. I think the Clemson players will be embarrassed in the choice of shots that they took during those critical moments towards the end of the first half and early in the second half. They'll be embarrassed by the fact that they did not understand time and score situation and try to get better shots than they did. And they'll be embarrassed by the fact that they didn't get back defensively the way they had been earlier in the season and the way that Oliver Purnell has been preaching throughout this season.
Dewey Burke and Surrey Wood are on the court for North Carolina. So is Mike Copeland, who gets a basket. Lakers and Spurs coming up when we're done in just a few seconds from now.
And with all that bad news, the good news is all of those mistakes made by Clemson are correctable.
Morris hits a three. Copeland hits another. 77-53. And the North Carolina Tar Heels faced with a question mark after losing at Blacksburg. They've been here and erase it as they erase the Clemson Tigers. 77-55. Len, you got to hand it to the Heels. They had every answer tonight.
They certainly did. Again, they played to their strengths inside. And, you know, they took an early blow from Clemson with the turnovers, but they got back and played their game.
77-55, the final. Up next on ESPN, NBA Wednesday, the Lakers and the Spurs. For Len Elmore and Doris Burke and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night from Clemson, South Carolina.